So we are moving on to the plenary session of the day. We have all our panelists here today. The day has been going great and it's just getting better now. Looking at the list of our dignitaries who is going to be stepping on stage as part of the plenary session. The topic of our plenary session is adopting global best practices in Indian coastal shipping, another most relevant topic in the industry today. This session, ladies and gentlemen, will look at exploring the adoption of global best practices in coastal shipping to enhance efficiency, sustainability, and competitiveness in the maritime sector. The stage is getting all set to receive our dignitaries who will be part of the plenary session. I'm just announcing the names. I will read out their profiles when it's time for them to step on stage. We have a rich panel. The session will be presided by Mr. K. Mohandas, Chairman of India Seatrade. The panelists will be Mr. Kshitij Ranjan, Deputy Director General of Shipping, Government of India. Dr. Divya S. Iyer, Managing Director of Virinjam International Seaport, who is already here with us now. Mr. Gurkaran Singh Bains, IRS Commissioner of Cochin Customs, Government of India. We also have Venkatesapathy S, IA&AS Director, Ministry of Ports, Shipping and Waterways. Also, Mr. N.S. Pillai, Chairman, Kerala Maritime Board, with us today. We are inviting them on stage. All right, ladies and gentlemen, get ready to applaud as I call their names out. To preside this session, I request Mr. K. Mohandas, Chairman, India Seatrade, to kindly come on stage. Mr. Kshitij Ranjan, Deputy Director General of Shipping, Government of India. Mr. Kshitij Ranjan is a naval architect and ship surveyor who went to become the Deputy Director General of Shipping. In his career, he has represented the Indian shipping industry across various levels globally. In his current position, he is responsible for the technology aspects, shipping development, coastal shipping, and international cooperation. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Kshitij Ranjan with us. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us, sir. A big round of applause for Dr. Divya S. Iyer, Managing Director of Virinjam International Seaport. Miss Divya Iyer is an Indian bureaucrat, medical doctor, editor, and author who is part of the Indian Administrative Service in Kerala. Prior to her current role at Virinjam International Seaport, she held the posts of Director of District Collector of Pathanamthitta and Mission Director of Mahatma Gandhi NREGA. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Dr. Divya S. Iyer on stage. Thank you so much for joining us, ma'am. Next, we have Mr. Gurkaran Singh Bains, IRS Commissioner of Cochin Customs, Government of India. Mr. Gurkaran Singh Bains, a 2006 IRS officer with engineering and management degrees, has held various roles in Central Excise, Customs and DGRI before taking over as the Commissioner of Customs at Cochin. He has also worked as Assistant Commandant in CRPF in the past. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Gurkaran Singh with us. Thank you so much for joining us, sir. We have Mr. Venkatesapathy S, IA&AS, Director, Ministry of Ports, Shipping and Waterways. He is a 2009 batch IA&AS officer of Kerala Cadre. Prior to the current position, he was Managing Director of Kerala Water Authority. Thank you so much for joining us, sir, and welcome. Mr. N.S. Pillai, Chairman, Kerala Maritime Board. Mr. Pillai, a 1987 Indian Audit and Account Service Officer, has held leadership positions in various government departments, including Kerala State Electricity Board, Kerala Water Authority, and Accountant General Offices, among others. With a strong background in finance and audit, including international assignments, he brings extensive experience to his role. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome him on stage. And a big round of applause for our panel who will be taking up the plenary session. Over to Mr. K. Mohandas to preside the session.
We have had a long afternoon, and I'm sure all of you have benefited some way or other from the deliberations that we were having from 2 o'clock onwards. This session is a plenary session, the concluding session, where the panelists are all senior government functionaries. And I would personally say I am a misfit there because I severed my connection with the government several years back, and retired persons are dangerous as far as speeches are concerned. So I will not take any more of your time. except to say that, listening to the previous sessions has been a great learning experience where one has learned certain very, very fundamental things. One of the things was, I think, something like an extension of what Mr. Rahul Modi was saying. Like, coastal shipping should be the natural mode of transportation wherever feasible. I think that's one way of looking at it. Another thing, maybe a lesson that one looked at was about the regulations. The policy changes that are necessary to make coastal shipping different from EXIM shipping. The port doesn't have to treat all these, the coastal vessels on par with the international vessels. Why? There are ways of tracking vessels. There are ways. See, if an aircraft flies domestically, you don't have to regulate it, except, of course, you don't have to regulate the cargo or the passengers, because that movement is within the country. Coastal shipping movement has to be seen as movement of cargo within the country. And there are maybe any number of ways to track the movement of a ship, what it is doing from its origin to its destination. It can be tracked very easily. And if that is done, then there is absolutely no question of having customs or immigration or anything at the port level. Well, these are some of the thoughts which have come up and which should come up in the minds of the decision-making authorities. Friends, I am not taking more time. We will have very useful presentations by the government functionaries who are here. So I would invite Mr. N.S. Pillai, IA&AS Retd, Chairman of the Kerala Maritime Board, to address the group.
Good evening to all of you. Respected Shri K. Mohandas, sir, Shri Venkatesapathy, IAS, Shri Gurkaran Singh, Bains, IRS, Srimati Divya S. Iyer, Shri Sudesh Ranjan, representatives from the maritime sector, representing various organizations, ladies and gentlemen. See, I am very happy today, standing before you, representing Kerala Maritime Board, and to speak something about some activities which are undertaking in the Maritime Board. The thing is, we don't have much to showcase because we are an younger Maritime Board compared to Gujarat Maritime Board, which was started in 1981, and the Maharashtra Maritime Board, which was started in 1986. And this Kerala Maritime Board Act has been passed in the year 2017. So in the initial years, actually the board was facing a lot of technical, administrative, legal, financial problems. And though the journey has been started a few years back, the intended purpose could not be achieved, and as a result, the progress achieved in the maritime sector is not commendable or not appreciable. But still, I would like to share with you some of the activities we are undertaking and what is our ambitious plans for the future. This information may be at least intriguing to some of you. See, Maritime Board, Kerala is tasked with the management and administration of 17 non-major ports. One may wonder why along this 590-kilometer stretch of Kerala coast, 17 ports are there, 17 non-major ports are there. If you personally visit in the 13 of these ports, you could see that there is no port infrastructure there, but still it is notified as a non-major port. Many people asked me why these 17 ports, and if you are not having any shipping activities or coastal cargo movement, then why you keep it? Why can't you denotify? I also have the same doubt. Then I studied the scenario, why we are keeping these 17 ports under notified category and maintaining it, incurring a huge expenditure for manpower. Then I came to know that many of these ports were once vibrant centers of maritime activity, particularly this Ponnani, then Kodungalur, Kollam, Kozhikode, Talasheri, all these ports, actually all these ports were having trade with the Europeans and the Middle East, and even the Kollam port was having trade with China and all. So if you visit all these ports, you can see the dilapidated CPS and all, which is the testimony to ensure that active trade was happening or bustling trade was happening in the past. But though we are not having any shipping operations, we are trying our best to see that some coastal shipping operation is going to take place in the coming years. See, out of the 17 non-major ports, now we are going to focus on four non-major ports. So those 4 non-major ports we are categorized as, or we are concentrating and trying to build the necessary infrastructure to make the trade active. So these ports are, we are actually calling as operational ports or functional ports. That is, from the south, we can say that Vizhinjam International Seaport is there. Side by side, we have a non-major port. It has all the necessary infrastructure for a medium size or a feeder type of vessel to operate. It has a minimum draft of around 4 to 5 meters. And it has recently got the ISPS compliance, for foreign flagged ships. This is a must. With great difficulty, but after putting the necessary infrastructure and after complying all the formalities, we obtained this ISPS status. Already in 2018, we got to the ICP status, immigration checkpoint status also we have obtained. Then one more compliance we have to get, that is the NSPC certificate. That also we are going to get it. We have taken all the steps to secure the NSPC also. Then you take the Kollam port. That is another important port where there is immense potential for coastal shipping and all. In the past, as I told you, a lot of ships were coming with the cargo and going back. Of course, on the return types, sometimes sufficient cargo was not there. That is why it was not feasible. That's why they have discontinued their operations and all. So Kollam port also is having a natural depth of 7 meters. And we have a lot of wharf, two big wharf is there, container yard is there, warehouses are there, a lot of cranes, including Liber crane. We have spent more than 15-30 crores and we have kept all these cranes. So what I want to impress upon you is almost all the infrastructure, minimum infrastructure for the operation of a non-major port is available at Kollam now with the 7-meter draft. And that port also we very recently, just 1 month back, immediately after the Lok Sabha election, actually we were frantically trying for getting this ICP since last 2 years. So immediately after the election, we go to the ICP status. So some 6 months back, we go to the ISPS status. And again, for the NSPC, we have initiated all the steps. We are going to comply all the requirements as per the DG standards, and we are going to get to the NSPC also. So that port is also more or less ready ready for any type of coastal cargo movement. Then we have a port in the north that is called the Bepur port, a port with a lot of historical importance. Even now, some cargo movement is there between Lakshadweep and this Bepur. That port is also having a draft of 4.5. Actually, we wanted to focus on that port because there is a scope for cargo shipping is very bright there. But so we tried to dredge further. Unfortunately, then we came to know that rock is there. So now for further capital dredging, environmental impact assessment study has to be made. So a lot of formalities are there. I don't want to elaborate all those things on my keyboard. So the thing is, now we will increase the draft. Our plan is to increase the draft from the current level 4.5 to up to 10 in a phase 2 manner. And so that there sufficient wharf is there, warehouses are there, all other necessary port infrastructure is readily available. Then one more port where we are focusing is Azhikal, that is in the Kannur district. There also average we have 4-meter draft, ISPS compliant, NSPC we have applied, and ICP also we are set to receive the ICP also. So these 4 ports out of the 17 non-major ports, these 4 ports we are focusing and we are keeping these ports ready for inviting or wooing each one of you in different fields, where agents or operators or owners. You come and do cargo trading, whatever type of support you require further. If you need any further infrastructure to be developed, we are ready. But the thing is, just like the story, chicken egg story, suppose if you invest, a very huge investment is made and for construction of wharf, for dredging and all. And if there is no coastal cargo operations, in government side always there will be serious objections and allegations why you spend all this money without ensuring that there is a coastal cargo movement. See, if you take the history of this 4 major ports, 4 non-major ports, in the past couple of years, from 2018 or 17 onwards, at times there were some cargo movement by some private agencies. Even government of Kerala has taken some initiatives and did some cargo shipping and all, because as somebody told in the previous sessions and all, return cargo is a serious problem. Kerala being a consumer state, there are a lot of cargo to be brought into the Kerala coast. But unfortunately, sufficient return cargo is not there. So for the shipping companies, it is not viable. So many are operating by losses. So they are looking forward to government, you compensate me for my losses. At least I should come up to the break-even level. I am not able to come to break-even level, so you give me incentive. So government started giving incentive also. A lot of money has been provided in the budget, and incentives are also given to some shipping companies and all, ship liners and all. But in spite of giving these incentives and all, they have discontinued and they have gone, because still that is not finding particular financial feasibility. That may be the reason. Now the scenario has been changed. And now, as I told you, the infrastructure, we are building up the infrastructure. We are trying our best to see that coastal cargo movement is taking place. And we are in discussion with a lot of coastal cargo operators. 2-3 persons have evinced interest. Today also I have met a person who is attending in this summit. And I told that I had 2-3 meetings with the cargo owners in the northern Malabar region, Kannur and all. Many leading cargo owners, they have expressed their readiness to give the cargo for coastal shipping, provided the operation should be regular, there should be stable operation, and that should be financially better for them, because the transportation cost, they are always comparing with the road transport cost, and at least 10-15% it should be lesser. If that assurance can be given, there are many persons who are ready to give the cargo. And a person who came forward to operate the ships, he is also highly confident, very optimistic, because he has, even before coming and meeting me for a discussion regarding the operation of the ships, he made a study. He made a very detailed study. I am not naming his, I don't want to mention his name here. So he conducted a very detailed study, and he is highly confident. And he told me, sir, initial 1 or 2 years, you give something in the form of VGF and all. Surely, I will ensure that I will operate 2 medium-sized ships, particularly in the first phase connecting Adikal, Bepur, and Kochi and back. And he is telling some number. This is my minimum number required for achieving the break-even or above. If at all it is going below, if the number is going by 1, or reduced by 1 or 2 TUs, then the government should give me this type of a support. I am ready for that. That's why we are going to discuss. I had a discussion with these cargo owners. Again, we are going to have some more discussions. We are waiting for this one, 1st September or last week of September. We will have a very detailed meeting. And afterwards, I am sure, I am highly optimistic that something will happen on the western coast, connecting our non-major ports. And now, why I am telling all these things to you people are, see, even by incentivizing the operations, even by giving incentive, we want to see that these non-performing ports are becoming active and functional. For that, as I think Mr. Murali has mentioned, that there must be some mandatory decisions or a compulsory decision from the government. Of course, see, 2-3 decisions the government can take in the form of a policy decision or executive orders if it is not against any law of the land. The first one is, at least the government should say all the public sector goods should move only through the road. It should not be moved through the road. It should be shifted to the sea. If that decision can be taken, I think 5 to 10% cargo can be assured. Then the movement of hazardous materials. You know, Kerala, with even, see, in there India, you know, the national highway width is 60 kilometers, but in Kerala it is hardly, even with a lot of difficulty, we are constructing a national highway of 45 meters. Now it is less than 30 meters. Through these 30 meters every day, around 20,000 trucks with a lot of cargo is going from Kasaragod to Kanyakumari and back. Cargo is moving, but it is through the road. If at least 10 to 20% of this cargo will be shifted to the sea, I am sure the shipping operation will be viable. Cargo emission will be minimum. Road accident in the state will be lesser. Transportation cost also will be minimum 10 to 50%. If it is not 20%, 25%, it would be lesser. But for that, the government has to compulsorily come with this policy decision. See, unfortunately, suppose Kollam is a cashew district. You know, a lot of raw cashew is imported from Ivory Coast and other Western countries. The thing is, when the Kashi Corporation or the Capex is inviting floating tenders for import of this one, they are writing the port of destination as the Thoothukudi or Kochi. Nearby there is a port. Once upon a time, I am sure there are evidences, big ship with big ship means not the mother ship type of thing. Big ships with this Rakashu has reached Kollam, loaded cargo, unloaded cargo and has gone. But now I don't know why it is coming, because this is the approach. I will not blame this public sectors why they are not, because the ease of doing business is not, there are a lot of what you call the problems and all. So they are not able to. So the thing is, government has to step in and see. See, that's when we initially told, if you compare to Gujarat Maritime Board or Maharashtra Maritime Board, Kerala Maritime Board is nothing. We don't have anything to showcase in terms of movement of cargo and all. And even for budget size, you know, Sagarmala. If you want to create port infrastructure, 50% of money will come from Government of India. If you construct a port, if you want to construct a port of 100 meters, minimum 20-25 crore is required. So 50% has to be provided through the budget, another 50% will come from Government of India. But the total budget of Kerala Maritime Board is less than 60 crore. The total capital, or the total budget provision is rationed among 25 heads. And for each head, it will be 2 crore, 3 crore, which is not at all sufficient for undertaking a single project with the help of Sagarmala. So unfortunately, though it is painful, I have to tell you that the thing is in Kerala, or Kerala may be a state where what you call the utilization under Sagarmala may be, it is not nil, because 2015 or so we got some 10 crore. When Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, or even the southern states are telling that they are getting in hundreds and thousands, Kerala has not even got even 10 crore because you know, the financial, that's why I told you, financial impediment or financial constraint is a very serious issue for us. So this time, so why it is happening? Because every time the budget process is a time, what you call is a continuing process. Every year it is 10%, 5% addition or deletion. So this time I have recommended to the State Planning Board that instead of giving money on a rationing basis, you give some money, 20 crore or 30 crore, under one head, as a 50% contribution for port infrastructure, so that at least 50 crore can be secured from Government of India under Sagarmala. So that way we are trying to move ahead, and I am highly hopeful that within another couple of months, some coastal movement would be there. For that, I am inviting each one of you. You come. We are ready to give you any type of support, including VGF for initial incentives in the initial years. Unlike in the past, ease of doing business is there. We will have very specific SOPs for operation in this one. Turnaround time, we will see that it will be mitigated to the minimum, and you will not face any problem in the ports. Of course, there may be technical problems in the war for any other port infrastructure. You please come and discuss. We are ready to provide, and we are ready to rectify, and we are ready to even go ahead with the further capital investment for all those things. Provided we should ensure that this is happening. So this is a thing. I don't want to elaborate because already you have learned a lot from the technical sections and all. Because I have been invited, I have to tell something about Kerala Maritime Board. We are an younger Maritime Board. We are taking baby steps to achieve our bright and rosy future. So Kerala Maritime Board is committed to transform the non-major ports into vibrant maritime activity centers with strategic planning and sustainable programs with the help of or with the collaboration from private parties. Surely we will transform or we will revitalize the port activities and see that the full potential is utilized. So with these few words, I am concluding. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pillai. Our next speaker is Mr. Venkatesapathy, Director in the Ministry of Ports, Shipping and Waterways.
Thank you very much, sir. It's always a pleasure to come to Kerala. Thank you for giving me an opportunity. I'll broad base the topic. In the ministry, I handle shipbuilding, recycling, international cooperation, marine training, marine development, IC, and IT. So I'm going to slightly broad base things. Some of them, whatever you have raised in the meetings, it will come up. I'm dividing it into 3 parts. Number 1, let me talk about the shipbuilding. As has been rightly mentioned, it is a chicken and egg situation. Who is going to build the ship? Ships are not available. How will we carry it? So government has taken a conscious policy to have Atmanirbharta in shipbuilding. That is one aspect that is being brought in. For that, two proposals are there. Maritime Development Fund, which has been already specified. We have already made a presentation at the very top, and we have received certain comments, and modification is happening. So, ship owners, ship builders will be benefited. The loan portion that you have spoken about will be for a longer duration, and the interest rate will be on the lesser side. So that is one. It is under process, so I am not giving you all the details related to it. Second one is SBFAP, Shipbuilding Financial Assistance Policy. That we are proposing to increase and maintain a flat rate for a further period of 10 years, and it contains a ship recycling credit note also. If somebody recycles a ship in India, he gets a ship recycling note which he can give to a shipyard to get a credit and build a ship in India. So these are two things that we are trying to do. The second aspect is related to our own cargo. Rightly said that around 82-83% of the cargo, EXIM cargo, I am not talking about the other cargo, EXIM cargo is carried in foreign flagged ships. The rest is carried in FOB basis in the Indian ships. So we are in the process of discussing with the agencies, the ministries, which require ships for a longer duration. One is MOPNG, another is fertilizer, coal. So we are having discussions with them, and we are having shipping companies, and we are trying to form a joint working group to ensure that initially you can purchase in the open market, run it as a collaborative system, while the demand requirer will be providing the money. For example, IOCL, GAIL, they will be providing us with the funds. We will be taking equity from the market as well. So that is under processing. It's in a slightly advanced stage. Hopefully, we will have a policy by the end of this month. The third one is related to the infrastructure portion. We have already spoken about it. It is under process. We are regularly following it up. The other aspect is related to greening. You have heard about the GTTP. That also has been submitted, and we have received, I am handling the file. It has come back with very few comments. So we are fine tuning it, and it will be provided, and hopefully it will come within a week's time or so, week or 10 days. That way, there may be a demand for around 70 to 80 tugs being produced in the near future. Then coming to the IC section, the BIMSTEC has been explained. There are several agreements individually with Bangladesh. Field persons and the stakeholders will know more. In the BIMSTEC agreement, the agreement is in the ripe stage. It just needs to be approved. Already 4 countries have approved, and so it needs to be signed. The SOP for operation has been circulated. We have received some comments. We are sending it forward, and hopefully that will be closed out. Now, since I handle IC section, International Cooperation section, there are several countries which have come forward. Japan, Korea, Netherlands, Denmark, these are some of the companies which have come forward to invest in India, especially in the IWT section, smaller vessels and medium-sized vessels. So we are going to utilize the facilities that are available in Ministry of Defense, defense shipyards basically, defense shipyards and merchant shipyards, and try to take both of them together. And several companies have also come forward, like Diamond, Royal IHC, they have also come forward to take it up. And there is a huge market that is available for the cruise section. Yachts that are not at the bigger size, that also are being considered. Now, when we summarize, I look at 3 things. One is the policy, which is basically the role of the ministry. We discuss with the stakeholders, we get input, such type of conferences give us valuable insights. Second one is the technology, the think tanks, the actual practitioners. You bring in all those knowledge. The third one is the application, how to do it. That requires lots of business building, and your cooperation on that aspect is necessary. All these three things have to go hand in hand. If one of them is missing, we will find it very, very difficult to get the desired results. I will tell you one small example. Ship recycling sector, we had specific issues, and we had multiple rounds of discussion. We finalized that there are 30 issues, 30, and prioritized it. There were 5 priority issues which had to be sorted out, and out of the 30 issues, after 1 year of hard work, we were able to sort out 18 numbers. 12 numbers are pending, which has futuristic orientation also. Because of these initiatives and other aspects, in shipbuilding, India is currently second. Earlier it was first, then it slipped to third, now it is in the second position. In IMO also that has been accepted, and by 2025, we will be the only HKC compliant country, and more ships are going to be recycled in India. That gives several spin-offs in the countries. And finally, I will just conclude by saying, there are multiple asks. Every single sector, single unit, there are multiple asks. Sometimes we will not be able to take all of them together. It needs to be prioritized. Maybe one issue or 2 issues can be taken up, prioritize, sort it out, come back again to the drawing board, take up the next priority items, and then sort it out. That way we will be having a easier way of solving. And I think this is an eye-opener for me. IWT, I don't handle some of the issues related to containers, the smaller vessels, IWT, etc. This is an eye-opener for me. Hopefully I will carry all these inputs to the ministry and participate in the meetings and try at my level how to sort it out. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Venkatesapathy. I would now invite Mr. Gurkaran Singh Bains, Commissioner, Customs, Kochi.
First of all, I'd like to thank India Seatrade, Mr. Mohandas, IA&AS, Mr. Nambiar, for giving me a chance to speak here at the Coastal Multimodal Logistics Summit 2024. To tell you frankly, I was rather surprised when I got this invitation and when I saw the topic, and it read that global best practices in coastal shipping and inland waterways. And I, as in my official capacity as Commissioner of Customs, was invited to speak here. My first job was to look at what is my relevant angle that I can professionally share with this gathering. And then, of course, in the last about 40-45 minutes I've spent here, there are some personal impressions I have gathered here which I would like to share with you. But I'll start with my professional impressions. I was surprised and rather that there is some misconception even existing today. Customs is generally, and sometimes rightly also, seen rather as an impediment to trade, to free trade. An esteemed member, someone was speaking here that, why should there be customs when goods are moving from one coastal port to another? I'd like to, although it's a bit odd patting your own back, but I'd like to say that customs is a very important department. Why I say important, one way to look at importance is to imagine a world without that thing. Imagine a world without customs. So you've saved some money, you intend to pay, let us say, the fees of your child, and by the time you reach that date, you realize the paper in your pocket is not worth it. Smuggling is rampant. The government can't control the value of money. Gold is flowing in and out, currency in and out. So there's no control, basically. You buy new tires, Michelin, the best brand. You put it in your car, you're driving the highway, you never know when the tire bursts. Your family is cooking, you never know when the cylinder bursts, God forbid, and does some harm to your dear ones. Your child falls sick, You go for medicines. You're not sure what you're buying, whether it's spurious, whether it is effective, or it rather harming the child. So that is the role customs seen as a big impediment, as a big sitting at the border is sometimes seen as, but it is a very necessary and onerous task and responsibility placed on customs. So customs is not only about compliance of various laws which we enforce at the international borders of the country, but it is as much as about facilitation. And I can proudly say that customs as a department has been one of the most proactive departments in the government of India as far as trade facilitation is concerned. Digitization, we are today working in totally paperless environment. Everything is online. Document filing related to import and export are online. There's a trade facilitation agreement in the whole world, which is India is a signatory to that. Whatever steps are the world over global best practices as far as international trade is concerned, I can assure you that India is right there in the forefront, and we have already implemented them. Like with any change, it is uncomfortable initially, then it gains momentum, and then your life becomes sorted practically. So, but then coming back to the topic today is not import and export of goods. The topic today is coastal goods. So I was surprised that I am the Commissioner of Customs here since now October 23. So I've never ever seen this land on my desk, this coastal goods, any problem anyone has faced or something. So I did a bit of research, and then I found out that in 2016, Customs Act has certain stipulations which are supposed to be met by anyone ferrying coastal goods from one Indian port to another. Coastal goods are defined as goods not being imported goods, which are taken from one port in India to another. I think most of us, we've spent the whole day in this conference discussing it, are aware of this situation. So we are talking of domestic goods carried from one port to another. And customs is an authority which is supposed to ensure that no goods which are not complying with Indian laws come from outside India into India, or go from India outside. So, as far as customs is concerned, since 2016, the government of India has totally taken out any kind of customs control on all vessels which are ferrying coastal goods from one port to another Indian port. To break it into more simpler language, earlier you were supposed to file a bill of coastal goods before the customs officer, and then he was supposed to see it and clear it. The captain of the vessel was supposed to carry a book. The customs officer was supposed to make an entry on it. So basically it was customs department was overlooking the movement of coastal goods. Since 2016, we are not there. Any vessel which carries only coastal goods is out of customs purview. So that is my role as far as the strict topic of today, this plenary session of global best practices in coastal shipping and inland waterways is concerned. But then my impressions as a personal level, I really want to share. Someone in the trade related to shipping, I can see the shipping Kerala Steamer Agents Association here, and all esteemed members of the trade. I know quite a few very enterprising individuals here. I was very gladdened by the passion I just witnessed there, where the lady conducting this ceremony wanted to, curtail the question, and then the gentleman he wanted to express the pain that we are small, but we are important. And, these are the problems we are facing. We want them placed before the government of India. So the spirit is really salute-worthy as far as I can say. And this is the spirit which really, really makes, trade great. Generally, people who are connected with waterways and what my experience has been in Kerala, interacting closely with people from Kerala, I can say that people who live near the water, who are engaged in transportation near water, are large-hearted or open-hearted, are risk-takers, have large hearts. They are good people. And I can confidently say that with this spirit, which was just on display today, and the opportunity which this God's own country provides, a large coastline with beautiful ports. The chairman of the newly upcoming Vizhinjam port is here, and that's going to be again a very big center of economic development. The writing is clear on the wall. So these opportunities are all to be plucked up, and Kerala is blessed that way. Being small is no impediment at all if your thoughts are large. So if some of you have read how the Nike brand was, I was discussing this with the US Counselor for Intellectual Property who happened to visit a few days ago my office. It is very interesting how the Nike brand was built. He was no big shot. He was just a university student who was mediocre of course, in his college team, but not outstanding, an athlete. So he had won a few blue ribbons. The medals are generally attached to ribbons, and those ribbons were blue-colored. So he had hung it in his room where he used to stay. And he wrote a paper in college, and he had a small idea of importing shoes from Japan and introducing them. So he had written a paper as a university student, but he didn't forget his idea, which he presented in the paper. He doggedly and persistently followed up with that idea. And the result is in front of us. He named the company Blue Ribbon because that was the only thing he was proud of in his life. He was a small fry, a nobody. At that time, the leaders were Adidas and Puma in the world of sports shoes. I don't know, in some 10 or 20 years, it took for him to overtake both of these, and today it is larger than both of these combined, I think. So, my point in telling you is it was really heartening to see this instinct. As far as customs is concerned, our role directly in coastal movement is not there, but customs is, as an institutionally, it is connected with the Cochin Port Authority, with the customs commissioner on the board of the Cochin port. So all important matters are run through the board. And I can assure you that the current chairman, Mr. Kashi Vishwanathan, is a very active and positive-minded individual. As far as coastal goods is concerned, we will closely collaborate with him. And I can tell you, being from Punjab and having lived most of my life in North India, that opportunity for trade within the country is maybe sometimes I think even larger than the international opportunity there. As an individual, I can say we don't get seafood as nice seafood we get here, and it's a huge market. A market growing at a pace which is blazing. We are the 5th largest economy in the whole world today. After America, China, Germany, Japan, and number 5 is India. We are nearing $4,000 billion trade and growing at the fastest pace among all these 5 countries I've just named. So, this is our market, our own economy. And here we are talking about exchanging goods and goods within our market. So the opportunity is huge. You just need to look around and, of course, develop these waterways, which is the cheapest mode of transport available in our country. And Waterways also has a poetic angle to it. They say you can sail the Mississippi River right from, I don't know, right up to the to New Orleans in the Bay of Mexico from somewhere near the northern part of USA. I mean, it is more than 2,500 something kilometers. You can actually sail on the Mississippi. So that is on my bucket list someday. And a dear friend of mine who was a Ukrainian, unfortunately, a Ukrainian customs officer who's caught up in war, the whole country, he used to tell me that how he used to disappear as a young man with his friends on a raft in the river for days together. So, inland waterways, sea trade between the country, the potential is huge. And I'm sure with this enterprising community which is present here, this trade related to waterways, and I'm sure that future is really, really bright. As far as the government initiatives, there are very related senior officers present today. The director in the Ministry of Shipping Ports, he has given you real insights of what the government is doing to take forward this sector in a much larger way. I would like to express a little bit of, someone was mentioning that laws are not good. It's good not having any laws. I slightly disagree with that point of view because laws, of course, like I mentioned earlier, people are seen as impediments the moment you say law. It also brings along with it the onerous bureaucracy which comes with it, by nature itself is a little bit, rule bound by design. But then along with it, it brings a huge opportunity. The huge circle, it's very difficult to move a huge circle, a heavy weight. But once it comes into motion, it is as difficult to stop. Having a law specifically designed on this aspect which we want to improve, I think draws attention of the right people, of the people with power, of the people in the government on the subject, and constantly focus on the subject. You can get budgetary allowance specifically for those particular laws, implementations. They are monitored at the highest level. And over time, I'm sure, having laws is not that bad an idea. Having laws on a thing you want to improve would only and only in the long term be beneficial for that particular activity. So with these words, I'd like to wrap up my address. Thank you once again very much for having me here.
Thank you, Mr. Bains. I would now invite Dr. Divya S. Iyer, Managing Director of the Vizhinjam International Seaport Limited, to address.
Good evening, one and all. It's a pleasure and privilege to be here amidst you all, representing the Vizhinjam International Seaport Limited. And thank you for that heads up, for the mention of Vizhinjam International Seaport being a game changer. And yes, I'm here to just tell you a few things, a few pointers, which we are both proud of and at the same time looking forward to from the perspective of planning and operations in the future. So let's roughly talk about the past, present and future of the Vizhinjam International Seaport as it might be relevant here at the Coastal Multimodal Logistics Summit 2024. The Vizhinjam International Seaport, as you all know, has started its operations on a trial basis. It's almost been a month now. On July 11th and 12th, we had the first mothership coming in. To reach that point, we've had a rather eventful past. When we talk about how coastal shipping has to be the natural mode of transport for cargo and containers within our country, I think it's worthwhile looking into the development aspect of the Vizhinjam International Seaport as well. It's not been an easy journey, as we all might guess, but the construction of Vizhinjam International Seaport in its entirety did not exactly start 10 years ago. I would say it started decades ago or centuries ago. For the very fact that there are several historical annals and records which show the potential and even the plan for construction of an international seaport in various languages and in various dynasties and in various eras of history when we look at. Right from the Sangam literature in Tamil, wherein the port was actually a very crucial and a very coveted area which was fought for. And when you read about the Cholas and the Pandyas, you definitely come across the mention of the Vizhinjam International Seaport. And even after that, in several historical records, we can see the mention of it. And when it came to the Travancore administration, there was a very clear idea and a plan which was in place for developing the Vizhinjam harbor as a potential seaport, not only for trade and exchange, but even as an escape route to win battles. And it's interesting how this naturally gifted harbor at the southernmost tip of the country has always caught the attention of rulers one after the other. But for reasons which are aplenty and highly varied from each other, we had to wait for decades together to actualize the dream of the people of Vizhinjam. And this, for us, is the victory of this generation that has fulfilled the dream of several of our predecessors and our forefathers. And that is why we are proud of Vizhinjam International Seaport, even at the cusp of its commissioning, much before it has actually catapulted the country into the global maritime trade map, as it would eventually in the months to come. As was mentioned and as is known to most of you, currently we are in the stage of operations in the Vizhinjam International Seaport, and we would be commissioning it very soon. Now, what makes it special, as on today, is what I'm going to touch upon in the present day aspect. So, as we have it today, we have nearly completed the phase 1 of our construction. This is setting new standards for infrastructure development, especially on a public-private partnership mode in the whole country. And especially for Kerala, we do expect that this has changed the investment climate and given the Kerala economy the much needed boost in the infrastructure sector as well. As a natural harbor, the location of the port is quite strategic, as you would know, very strategically located between the Suez Canal and the Strait of Malacca. This is the ideal place for transshipment for a country like India, wherein 75% of its transshipment cargo happens through ports outside the country, for the very reason that we do not have a deep water container terminal dedicated to transshipment in the country so far. So Vizhinjam International Seaport is staging as the country's largest deep water container terminal and the country's first transshipment hub. With a natural depth and a natural draft of 18 meters or more, with minimal dredging and minimal maintenance, we offer a draft of up to 21 meters, which is more than adequate to welcome the largest of motherships in the world today. And currently, we have operationalized 2 berths in phase 1, and it would extend up to another 3 more in the upcoming phases. So around 800 meters of berth is ready as of today, and we would be adding on another 1,200 meters of berth for that, which also means simultaneous vessel berthings of motherships as well as feeder vessels can happen seamlessly in the port. And what also makes it unique is the fact that the area is also blessed with minimal littoral drift, which means that dredging is not going to be an expensive affair in the future as well. In order to maintain the tranquility and stability of the waters, we have also come up with an engineering marvel, so as to say, of around 3 kilometers, to be precise, 2,963 kilometers of breakwaters that has been constructed using the funded works, which means the government of Kerala has funded the entire breakwater structure, and that is also, arguably one of the largest engineering structures of this nature in the entire world. And we also have adequate yard slots as on today. And as we complete phase 1, we would be ready to handle 1 million TEUs. We have also advanced the construction of the further phases of Vizhinjam International Seaport, taking into consideration the market advantage that the world as well as the maritime sector offers at this point of time, and also working out the financials between the concerned stakeholders, which means that what was slated to be the completion of the entire port by 2045 would now be staged, it would be completed in 2028. That would mean that there would be no break after phase 1 construction, and the construction is going to continue. And we are hoping to start phase 2 construction by December 2024, this year itself. And by the end of 2028, when the entire port has been completed in its entirety, we would also have 2 more multi-purpose berths on the breakwater, so that other than cargoes and container ship handling, we could definitely expand our horizons and welcome cruise tourism as per the decision of Government of Kerala, which we would look into in the further years. So that is a possibility that we are considering as of now. And also to accommodate, say, liquid tankers or any other kind of vessels other than container cargo. So the avenues are definitely open as of today, and we are gearing up for a future that is bright as well as extravagant. Extravagant not in terms of, probably luxurious facilities, but extravagant in terms of the boost that it's going to give the economy, as well as the welfare of the people around in the Vizhinjam port. As I had started off my talk as to how this is the pride of this generation of people, this is also the pride of people of Vizhinjam, mostly the fishermen folks in and around the Vizhinjam area, wherein their wholehearted support and dreams for the next generation of people amongst them have been carried over to the infrastructure and the facilities that are offered at the port. When one stands in one of those little, by lanes of residential areas around the port and talks or engages in a conversation with one of the housewives or one of the fisherwomen there, one can obviously identify the starry-eyed dreams on their faces and in their hearts. And this is something that I have personally experienced. And when I actually took over as the managing director of Vizhinjam International Seaport, one of the first things that inspired me and gave me the much needed hope to face challenges with grit and determination was actually the support from the community. And when you talk to mothers there, when you talk to women in the self-help groups there, you know, they tell me that we have a port for the backyard now, you know. And when we look at these huge cranes, so that also, you know, makes me want to remind you that Vizhinjam International Seaport is India's first automated, semi-automated container handling facility port, wherein all our cargo and containers are actually handled by expert cranes which are automated and semi-automated. Plus, we also have a vessel tracking and management system, which has been indigenously developed. It's an intelligence system in itself. So this view of the cranes, of these highly advanced cranes, having it for a backyard or having it for a neighborhood is not a rather household experience, is not a common experience for all of us, right? But for them who stay in these tiny little houses, when they see such huge, humongous structures, I was very curious and I asked them, what is it that you feel, you know, being a resident of Vizhinjam now, or having this port for your backyard? And they told me unanimously that we know that our children's future is going to be different now. We have something to look up to and we have something to hope for. Our children will not end up living the same lives that we did and our forefathers did. And I think that is the hope that each one of us carry in our heart as we go ahead with such infrastructure projects. At the end of the day, it is not merely about numbers, it is not merely about machines, it is not merely about commerce, it is about touching people's lives and enhancing their quality of lives. And that for us is important as we look into the livelihood compensation as well as rehabilitation packages for people who are in the area, in the project impact area, though we are happy to say that there has been no displacement in terms of residences, in terms of households for the development of the port. But even if they have been indirectly impacted in terms of their livelihood or any other factor for that matter, it is about engaging the community and taking them along through this developmental project, which is actually going to make it sustainable. So for the future of Vizhinjam International Seaport, yes, we are definitely looking at putting India onto the global map of maritime trade, of bringing in transshipment back into the country and retrieving all the losses that we have had, plus definitely changing of the investment climate of the state of Kerala with the economy boost that it's going to bring. 4, carrying the community along and sparking the dreams and hopes of youngsters in and around the area and probably far away from the port as well. And last but not the least, have ambitious projects and ideas floating in every now and then and trying to finalize upon it for a port-led development for the entire city. We are currently also looking at green shipping as a primary objective to develop and facilities associated for that, at the Vizhinjam International Seaport as well. So there are a lot of discussions that are happening underway. I wouldn't want to take more of your time. I see that it's already hitting 8 p.m. So this is the past, present, and future of Vizhinjam International Seaport in a snapshot, as I would like to present. And thank you so much for having us here. And I simply represent, the numerous people and talent and efforts that has gone into the development of the Vizhinjam International Seaport over the last several years. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Divya S. Iyer. I would now invite Mr. Shitesh Ranjan, Deputy Director General of Shipping, to address us.
Yeah, greetings to everyone, and thank you, Mr. Sudhir, to keep me somewhere exactly before the dinner. So I will try to be a little quick, but yeah, of course I would cover everything for sure. So, so this would be the flow of my talk. So I would be talking about what is our mandate, what is our guiding policies, and what all things are there in the pipeline, and what else it could be, some innovative idea, contemporary global best practices and all. So there we are. These are our visions. We aspire to be one of the leading economy of the world. So this had been the growth trajectory. The other side you can see the freight movement overall. That is trillion ton kilometer. China, India. Of course, we cannot compare exactly because China, 80% of the China's population lives along the coast. So the logistic cost, where it is, where we want to be, it was rightly highlighted, and it is again one of the key component we need to address for overall betterment. These are the, I would say, four-pronged approach. I would be skipping these things. So we have our national logistic policy, which exactly aims to bring down our logistic cost. And we have PM Gati Shakti. Again, it aims to integrate our approach, interdepartmental, interministerial, and even it has its digital platform, geospatial information is there. Even any project which is being launched, they can go in depth and in detail. If a track has to be laid, it can tell you what would be the filling, what would be the digging requirement to a large extent. So technology-wise, we have quite reached to a place where now these kind of greenfield or the new projects can be visualized very clearly how it can be implemented, what all agency would be involved or affected, or their clearances are required. So now coming to the core aspect. So what is the object and the purpose of the Act? This is the preamble of the Merchant Shipping Act. So I have highlighted these particular 5 words: Indian Mercantile Marine, National Interest. So we all know what all it means, but at the end of the day, mercantile, I'm talking about the commerce has to make sense for any business. Then only things would flourish. Government, even the certain business it doesn't want, it takes place because it is viable, people see, and people can make money out of it. So unless and until a particular business makes sense in context to the economy, it won't kick off. Initially, in certain sector, strategic sector, government would try to handhold for the pilot projects and all. That's what you can see further as well. Now, these are the efficiency economy. We have seen the possibility is well reflected. And then guiding national policy. So we have MIV 2030, that talks about what are the potential in the coastal shipping. There's a targeted and segmented discussions as well regarding which cargo, which sector. Similarly, we talk about MAKB 2047. So that also distillates what would be our KPI, what would be our target, and again it correlates with the MIB 2030 as well. And these things, these are the KPI. So if you see in MAKB, this is where we want to be. In 2021, we are at 109 MMTPA, million metric ton per annum, and we want to go at 500 plus in the coastal cargo movement. And if you again see MIP 2030, it does not talk about the overall cumulative figure, but it talks about the segmented and the targeted cargo-wise approach, which goes close to 250. We all know what is the economical benefit, what is the environmental benefit and strategic benefit. And in the subsequent slide, I will talk about how we can tap into. So the challenges, it is already identified in our policy document, which was actually formed with lots of stakeholder consultation and engagement, and government with an interdisciplinary approach, and even with the support of the industry as well. Certain initiative needs to be taken up, and so infrastructure deficiency part was identified, regulatory and policy constraint, financial barriers. Of course, we talk about capex part, which is pretty much true. Operational inefficiency, of course, it is there. We talk about vessel waiting for the berth, like that. Then dedicated coastal shipping, coastal cargo berth should be there. So as we identify the challenge, then we see certain opportunities as well, how to go about it. I'm very happy to see one such digital solution talking about I'm missing match lab or something like that. So which exactly talks about increasing the efficiency. I appreciate these kind of, I would say, innovative approach, which tries to optimize what is there and making it rather economically more viable. So financial support and innovations, of course, in context to the import, we have certain scheme called subsidy support for the promotion of Indian flag. And there had been a constant push from the industry to include the coastal movement of the PSU cargo as well, which in principle we agree to that idea, and the work is underway to implement it. So there was a targeted and segmented approach identified in the MIV 2030, and like in context to the general cargo, coal, iron ore, cement was identified, and the target route was also identified, and these are actually monitored as well. Similarly, in the general cargo, these are the target routes and the nature of the cargo which was identified. And again, to address the core aspect, to make it more efficient, to make it more economically viable. So first thing foremost is the infrastructure status to the vessels. So which ministry is quite positive about it. How do we take it further? This would be addressed in due time. I think Director Venkatesapathy sir is there. He would be definitely aware of the discussions, and you'll see some positive movement in this regard. Then removal of IGST on the purchase and sale of the ships. Again, this is again 5% added cost to the vessel's transactions. So if you see in India, if a particular vessel bought for the recycling purpose, the GST is now, IGST is waived off, because it on the ground that it creates employment. We have the strategic advantage of being in that field, like as one of the biggest recycler in the globe. Of course, it generates employment for good 6 months or the 3 months for the hundreds of people. But the ships in operation would continue to generate employment and the revenue throughout its remainder life. So this proposal is already mooted. And economic impact analysis and the revenue impact analysis was already done from our office, and that was sent to our economic advisor, and it would be appropriately taken up with the relevant concerned ministry. And there's another proposal which is also mooted, that all the incidental gain out of the shipping business shall be part of the tonnage tax regime, which would actually ease out the tax burden and ease of doing business as well, both cumulative. And then there's a MRO service, so maintenance, repair and overall service. Any Indian ship overseas, if they take these kind of service, they need to pay 5% custom duty, and then on the reverse charge basis, IGST. So cumulatively, it is like somebody going overseas and taking certain services, those are statutory required. So dry dock is a statutory requirement. It's not something, adding on to the asset, particular vessel. So it is statutory required. In spite of that, there is a 5% plus 5% tax is there. So again, we have pitched for this, and the revenue impact and economic impact analysis was done and sent to our economic advisor. So what are the way forward further? So of course, it cannot, standalone approach won't work. So industry collaboration with our PSU and the government policy, everything has to go well together to realize the objective which was set in our vision document. So again, setting example at home, that is the first important thing. GST rebate for the uses of coastal shipping. We hear a lot coming from the industry, so this could be the possible approach. Some white paper can be worked on that. Then this is another one of the highlight, that single mode and the multi-mode handling. Then you have the variable GST, so which is kind of, it's but obvious that if the shipping leg is there, it would be multimodal. So therefore, if we want to promote it, then we need to address this part as well. Then TDS on the seafarers' wages. So any shipowner community would definitely know that a good proportion, almost 1/3 of the operation cost is on the account of the seafarers' wages. And along the Indian coast, of course, you are running the Indian flag vessels, so the seafarer TDS on the seafarer you have to pay. Whereas a foreign flag vessel, when they are employing, they are not obliged to deduct the TDS. So therefore, they are getting the seafarer off a better lot for sure, as well as at a rate which is rather flat without any tax, because there is no tax burden at all. So, and the next thing, higher GST, again, multimodal I talked about. Then GST blocked at the various jurisdiction when they are taking any provision across other state and the other business, they are not doing it there. So they're just incurring the GST. GST input is there, but there's no, they cannot balance it out in that jurisdiction. So this is required to be addressed. This is another initiative which was identified in our MAKV, which has quite a novel idea what exactly we are doing here. Something like that, having this institutional setup where the brainstorming can be done, where the regular stakeholder engagement, what we talk about B2B, can be done, and licensing role, incentive and support discussions, awareness program, industry collaboration can be instigated and initiated. So that is a very novel idea, and I'm sure we should work collaboratively for this. It is not just ministry or the directorate cannot work it alone on this regard. So this is now related to global best practices. So I just gave the example of the Marco Polo 1 and 2. So 2003 to 2006, EU started this pilot project. They saw a good result. Then they extended the. Then again they came back with the second version, Marco Polo 2, and you can see the objective, duration, and the goal. And it has a positive impact as well. Successfully funded numerous projects, and you can see the key action. It reduced congestion, traffic congestion on the road, and shift. It had a significant effect on the modal shift. So yeah, why not we can do so? And if I recall, Captain Rakesh talked about short sea route, which exactly it is much more correlatable to the EU model than to the China or any other country model. So another, taking further leaf, what is done in the Norway and Denmark, tax exemption and the rebates, and the environmental incentive as well, public-private partnership, these kind of initiatives were done in Japan and Singapore. Then coming to Netherlands, Germany, integrated transport policies. So what I talked about, when the shipping leg is there, it is definitely going to be multimodal. So your transport policy should be integrated, homogenized. Like we talked about the GST at a different single mode, multimode, having the differences, and having the single bill of letting you take the cargo clearance certificate, taking all throughout end-to-end integration. Single window system, Singapore, again, this is not just specific to the coastal shipping, it is related to the, in general, whole shipping. Similarly, the environmental and infrastructure best practices. What happens, this is quite a strategic move. What you do, you kind of enable your domestic fleet or enable your regional fleet to a higher standard norms, and then you say, this would be our norms. Any vessel coming to our trade in our territorial water or calling our port needs to meet this environmental norm. You are doing two things. First, you are promoting your domestic shipping. At the same time, environmental issue is also addressed. You are putting a bar per se in the form of environmental measures like SECA area we talk about. So either you have to upgrade yourself, means the foreign shipping line has to upgrade themselves or customize their emission standards to suit yours. So this is one such innovative approach this EU has also taken. Green port certification, this I think of course the DG Shipping is not the one who would be taking it. I think ministry can definitely take this further. Incentives, infrastructure development, dedicated coastal work, it is again identified as well, well demanded as well from the industry. Then cold chain facility like Norway and New Zealand, they have this kind of cold chain facilities, and they are, particularly in Norway, they are pretty good in the movement of the reefer cargo. So now some innovative approach, what it could be. So you relate the whether the innovation or the technology related to the environmental part, or per se some path-breaking thing like what you call autonomous shipping or the green shipping. So you kind of incentivize these kind of technological advancement either by giving, I would say, viability gap funding. Like in India, what we have done in context to the shipbuilding, vessel which would be running on the total green fuel like hydrogen fuel cell and all, they would be given 30% flat rate shipbuilding financial assistance. So when you go to any shipyard and negotiate, they have that kind of margin, and you get, without realizing it, the end effect, you are actually gaining the vessel which you would have got at 30% or 25% higher. Similarly for the hybrid, it is 20%. Otherwise, for the regular fleet, it is right now at 14%. So this initiative was already taken previous year, and it's already in place, and few of the vessels are also complying to it, which have got in principle approval. So I think somebody was talking about giving one example, like this could be the model, they have worked it out. So you'd have a good support if you go to any Indian shipyards for this kind of I would say building. At the same time, we have usually the restriction of 24 meters and above length, but we know that these kind of technologies are new. There may be some pilot project as well, like of course the methanol is there, but somebody working totally an innovative approach. So we have actually relaxed the length requirements so that the pilot project can also be funded with a good extent, which is 30% is a big amount. Then Green Corridor Initiative, again, once you talk about promoting this, you need to have those critical infrastructural support, the fueling support should be there. And green bonds, carbon credits, green subsidies and grant. So these are another innovative idea which we can work out, maybe a white paper or some concept note can be prepared. Feel free, I would say, encourage industry to come up with these kind of ideas. I will welcome that. So here we are, and thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ranjan, for that excellent presentation. A lot of innovative thinking has gone into it. Now this session is over, so it's over to Deepa for the next announcements.
Thank you so much, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a loud round of applause for this panel here. That was the plenary session. Thank you so much, yes, for those wonderful insights from all of you. I would now request Shri Sudhir Nambiar, Director, India Seatrade, to kindly come on stage to present a token of our gratitude, love, and appreciation to all our panelists on stage. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome the man who put this all together, the Director of India Seatrade, on stage. Thank you, Sudhirji. It took me quite a lot to pull him on stage. He was not willing to come initially, so that's on me. All right, so over to the honoring ceremony. I'd like to invite Mr. Kshitij Ranjan forward to receive the memento from Mr. Sudhir. Can we have a loud round of applause, ladies and gentlemen? Thank you so much for joining us. It's my pleasure to welcome Dr. Divya Iyer forward to receive the memento. Thank you so much. Mr. N.S. Pillai. Thank you, sir, for joining us. May I request Mr. Venkatesapathy S. to kindly step forward. Thank you so much. Mr. Gurkaran Singh Bains. Thank you so much for joining us, sir. And of course, none other than our very beloved Mr. K. Mohandas, sir, who does not need a special a token of gratitude. He is part of family, but it's just an expression of our love. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, Sudhirji, for doing the honors. And may I request you to kindly pose with the panelists for a picture. Ladies and gentlemen, a loud round of applause as we come to the end of all our discussions and debates today. Some really good insights. Thank you so much. Dear guests, may I request you to kindly join the audience. Thank you, Sudhirji, for doing the honors now. May I request Mr. K. Mohandas sir, to kindly stay back as we have some honoring to do for our dear sponsors. So with this, we come to the end of today's debate and discussions. And as we all know, as we are all aware, and as was the request from some of our dignitaries here, India Seatrade has been making notes, taking notes, collating all the discussion points here, and they will make sure that it is sent out to the right authorities. Hopefully, there will be significant actions on those notes that we have made of. Thank you so much for joining us. And before we moving ahead, I'd like to announce that we are now going to honor our dear sponsors, without whom this event would never have been possible. First, I'd like to invite Inland Waterways Authority on stage to receive a token of our gratitude from Mr. K. Mohandas. Inland Waterways Authority, thank you so much. I'd like to invite Gujarat Maritime Board on stage. Gujarat Maritime Board. Federal Bank, may I request Federal Bank, our dear sponsor, to kindly come on stage. Thank you so much for all your support today. I would now like to invite Pushpak Logistics Solutions to kindly come forward. Thank you so much. Thank you for all your support. I'd now like to invite a representative from Indian Oil Corporation to kindly come on stage to receive our token of love. I would next like to invite Cochin Shipyard on stage. I'd now like to invite Seema Marine India Private Limited on stage. Ladies and gentlemen, it would be great if we could give them a loud round of applause, because without them, this event would never have been possible. These sponsors made it happen, of course. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for the support. I'd now like to invite a representative from Book My Port to kindly come on stage. Book My Port will be followed by J.M. Buxy. May I request a representative from J.M. Buxy to kindly come on stage. Next is Costero Shipping and Logistics. Thank you so much for all your support. Next will be TCI Seaways. Thank you, TCI Seaways, for your support. Container Corporation of India. Container Corporation of India, thank you so much. Thank you. Followed by DP World. Thank you so much, DP World, for supporting us as always. Our next sponsor on stage, Telenity. Can we have a loud round of applause, please? And let the applause never stop. Let it keep coming. Thank you so much, Reliance Industries on stage. Thank you so much, Reliance Industries, for your support. Food Corporation of India. No? Okay. May I request Abrao Group to kindly come forward? Abrao Group. Yes. Thank you so much. Next, I'd like to welcome on stage Bharat Chemicals. Yes, that is Bharat Chemicals. Bharat Freight, can we have Bharat Freight on stage, please? Okay, next, Shakyat Agencies. Next, may I welcome Credor. Credor on stage. Thank you so much for your support. The next sponsor on stage, Dakshin Bharat Gateway Terminal. DBGT, Dakshin Bharat Gateway Terminal. Thank you so much for extending your support. Thank you. Next, we have Global Logistics Solutions. Okay, next, Seatrade Shipping and Projects. Thank you so much, Seatrade Shipping and Projects. Next, I'd like to invite Alpha Trans Coastal Exim on stage. Thank you so much. Next is Cochin Bunkers. Moving on, we have Custom Logistics. Thank you so much, Custom Logistics. Thank you. MSC Shipping and Logistics next on stage. Thank you so much for your support towards this event. Moving on to the next sponsor, Shree Shipping Services. Thank you so much for your support. So ladies and gentlemen, a loud round of applause for all our sponsors. Thank you, dear esteemed sponsors, for making this happen for us. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mohandas, sir, for doing the honors. Thank you very much. All right, ladies and gentlemen, with this, the 10th edition of the Coastal Multimodal Logistics Summit 2024 draws to a close. We will return with much more of such business summits to address and debate issues pertaining to our industry, and we hope to see you all with your active participation, as always, with us. Before summing up, India Seatrade is delighted to announce the 7th edition of the Multimodal Logistics Summit in Gandhidham on 8th of November 2024 at Radisson, Kandla. And we would like to announce the 8th edition in Coimbatore on 7th February 2025 at Obai Tamra, requesting all of you to block your date and participate actively as ever. I would like to, before I wind up, I would like to assure you that India Seatrade has made a note of all the points discussed here, and it will reach the right authorities. Thank you all dignitaries who were present here, who made this day rich, members of different organizations who were present here. I'm sorry if I've offended anyone. It was only in the best interest of time. I would like to thank Taj Vivanta for giving us this venue. Dear Mohandas sir, who does not require this special thanks, but who's always there as a pillar of support for us. And of course, to dear Sudhirji for putting this all together on behalf of India Seatrade and having me over and over back again for every event. Thank you so much. With that, ladies and gentlemen, I would gladly announce that bar and dinner counter is open. Do help yourself. Requesting all of you to proceed with this. This is Deepa Rahuleshwar signing off. Have a good night and good weekend ahead. Thank you so much.